This is where opportunity is created. And I firmly believe that, co-living is that new wave of real estate investing, whether it be with PadSplit or any other form of co-living and shared housing, because, as we saw just in the debate a couple of days ago, is like housing affordability is a major topic for many Americans across the U.S.
Yeah, it is. It's so true. And I think all of us on this call today are, that's what's so important to us is we want to house as many people as we possibly can.
Yeah.
Well, why don't we say, Gina, I do see that your hand's up. E is, or Emmanuel is a representative with PadSplit in Jacksonville that Pamela and I know, and he's going to do a presentation. And then we were going to take some questions. Is it something that we could wait on till after, or did you want to share something before he talked?
Just put me in line for questions at the end.
Okay, perfect. You got it. You're first up.
Awesome.
Awesome.
As we're
Well,
going
yeah,
through
I'll let
this,
you. Oh, sorry. What,
so
go
I
ahead.
was just going to say, yeah, as we're going through this, feel free to drop the questions in the chat. I'll keep an eye on it, and then that way we can kind of hit in the moment, and we'll have an open Q&A at the end.
Okay, perfect. Well, we'll let you take it away. I'm going to go ahead and mute myself, and the floor is yours, my friend.
All right, all right. Well, thank you so much. Let me go ahead and get my screen shared here so we can go through some, high-level overview of PadSplit. And once again, thank you, Tracy, and thank you, Pam, both for the invite. I actually ran into Pam coincidentally. I think it was last week, I believe, right? We were touring the PadSplit Mega Mansion, what we were kind of jokingly calling it. It was a 27-room former like assisted living facility that was, an off-market deal. It was needed a lot of work. It was definitely a beast of a project, but and then that's when Pam brought up this call, and she on the spot invited me, and I was like, yeah, let's do it. You guys will learn about me. I'm very much kind of a full send kind of guy. I just kind of full send myself into something and make it happen and kind of figure out things along the way. So I'm excited and thankful to be a part of this and talk about PadSplit. All right. So PadSplit really truly is on a mission to do well and do good. Doing well, earning more cash flow, doing good, and providing more housing. And Financial Times, Deloitte, Inc. 5000, all of them have ranked this as one of the fastest growing tech companies in the US. And so again, going back to that earlier point in that, like, this is a really pivotal time for opportunity. And this is a great chance to now ride this wave with PadSplit. Now, do we have any PadSplit hosts on the line who are active hosts? Feel free to drop it in the chat. Let's see. Not yet. Love the yet there. Okay, yep. It's a work in progress. Absolutely. I was ready to launch and got a same day midterm rental. That's good. Hey, revenue is good. So whether it be with PadSplit or any other rental strategies, that's great to hear. Well, I'm excited to share more about kind of what we're doing here and just share some resources and things that we have available to help you on this journey, because quite frankly, it is a journey. And so that's what I'm here to serve you as a host advisor and a guide throughout that journey. As I shared earlier on the call, I joined PadSplit last year in May. So when I graduated from UCF, I initially started my career in medical device sales. I was part of the commercial leadership program at GE Healthcare, and working in kind of commercial healthcare sales, large enterprise deals with these multi-state hospital systems, and had a very successful career for about 3 years. And really just felt kind of misaligned to what I was doing. I was making more money than I could have ever imagined in my mid-20s and had a company car and everything, but just really felt like I didn't have a purpose, or at least what I was doing wasn't aligned to my purpose. And so I kind of took a full send and wrote out what I called my dream letter. It was my resignation letter, but in that I wrote that, I wanted to become a yoga teacher, start a small video production company, and pursue my passion for visual storytelling and get more involved in the real estate community, specifically here in Jacksonville. And I think, putting that actually in writing and, holding myself accountable to it by putting in that resignation letter really manifested into many beautiful things, and did become the yoga teacher, had a small video production company here, and then got very involved in the local Jacksonville real estate investor community here with the Jax REIA Association. So started my journey in real estate with short-term rentals. I actually just had an extra room, and it was actually of a family member, a very close family member of mine, and she was struggling kind of make ends meet. And so we, I've been renting that room on Facebook Marketplace, on other sites, but then decided to go into Airbnb. And that kind of gave me the knowledge and experience that I needed to start building out the systems, and eventually had a great capital partner who I partnered with. And, we scaled up here into the Northeast Florida area to about 13 properties. And at the time, I was also working with Vacasa, and, largest vacation rental management company in the nation. So it was good to get to learn from them and implement into my own business. And so now, it was actually last year, I was really starting to see the writing on the wall in that industry. Like short-term rentals were really great throughout the 2010s and so on. But it was really around last year that I started to see things were changing, things were shifting as a whole, and had the opportunity to join, PadSplit as a host advisor. And so I just went live with my first PadSplit property last month. Yeah, it was 4 weeks ago, and 5 out of the 6 rooms are booked. I'll kind of talk about the numbers, kind of that journey, how that went. But I've had experience in Airbnb and VRBO and Furnished Finder as well. So you're working with someone who's truly, an investor first and a, PadSplit advisor second. I've many times had to turn down properties that just weren't a good fit. And it ultimately does come down to the numbers, right? And if the numbers don't work, I'm not going to press PadSplit on me. I'm actually going to guide you to see what else we can do to kind of help you make sure that you're successful with your investment there. So just a little bit about myself. And when we think about PadSplit, what we're really a marketplace, all right? And we're the largest co-living marketplace, a two-sided marketplace, in that we're connecting the local working class individuals, or income earning individuals, I should say, who make between $20,000 to $60,000 annually, that are looking for furnished room rentals on a midterm rental basis. All right. And so they're searching for these affordable room rentals, which are homes provided by investors that they list on our platform, have been converted and furnished for PadSplit. And so when I say midterm rental basis, really we're trying to separate and carve ourselves out away from Airbnb, right? We want to be our own sort of niche leader in that midterm rental space. So previously, we had a 31-day commitment period, but just recently, this is hot off the press. Not many people even know about this, but we've recently changed it to where we have a 12-week commitment now from our members. So 3 months in total, but the average stay is about 6 to 8 months. We don't allow pets barring ESAs, right? So if it's an emotional support service animal, then there's a whole kind of separate documentation and verification workflow that our team goes through. Now, PadSplit is responsible for marketing, screenings, 24/7 support, and payment collection. Those are the 4 core value adds that we provide. And so I always kind of like to break it down simply, where we do the people management. And then the host is responsible for the property management, meaning the maintenance, the listing creation, the move-in communication, the cleans of the rooms upon move out. Our whole belief is that the people who are closest, or the investors who are closest to the affordable housing shortage, should be the ones empowered with the tools to be a part of that solution. And so when you think about PadSplit, we're not like an asset management company, right? We give you the tools to be able to give you full control in creating your price, setting your pricing, creating your listing, really making sure that you get to run your business how you want to. We are just a platform to make sure that you're successful and profitable with it. So a lot of good questions coming in from Melanie on how do you enforce the 12-week commitment. Hold that thought on that question. At the end, we're going to talk about the fee model and some of the things that we have in place to ensure that they're staying for that period of time. And then we're definitely going to talk about, how we deal with member issues, because ultimately those will come up. I always like to say, we can solve the system problem. We can figure out, a system for co-living, but we're never going to solve the people problem. There's always going to be problems in that space. Now, thankfully, because we've been doing this now for the last 6 years, we've dealt with many different kinds of situations, right? From somebody stealing peanut butter to just the other day, I heard a member was cooking their underwear on the stovetop. I don't know if it was a soup of the day or what, but it did happen. And so we dealt with it and we documented it. So I just share that with you because those kinds of things will happen. And horror stories are not limited to PadSplit. They happen in long-term rentals. They happen in short-term rentals. It's an investment because you're taking a calculated risk, knowing that there are these things that may happen. And what PadSplit does is we're able to work through those challenges as they come up. Because over the last 6 years, we built out an entire playbook with very clear, specific standard operating procedures based on situations that may happen. And with those, we administer fines, penalties, fees. And so that's where our team is here to really kind of help support you and ensure that those you do have someone by your side in dealing with those. So we service over 30,000 members. We have over 14,000 units nationwide and 160 employees here nationally. These are all the markets that we're currently live in. And I'm going to show you, I'm going to demo once we get into the platform, how you can actually see down to the zip code level, how each of these cities are performing in terms of pricing, occupancy rate, and fill rate as well. So really key data points that we need to know whether or not that's a good zip code to invest in for your PadSplit. Because again, if we're going to give you full control, we also have to be fully transparent with our data. And we love data being a tech company, and we even more than loving that data, we love to share that data so we can go through that together. Yeah, we're going to talk about Philly. We're definitely, once we get into that map, I think you're really going to like and see how it can help you pinpoint where you want to invest in. So little story time here. You learned about me, learned about PadSplit at a high level, but let's do a little story time here. So 2009 was certainly a new era in real estate investing, right? Just coming out of the Great Recession, the housing crash. And at the time, Airbnb was just kind of getting off the ground in the early 2010s. And a lot of the investors who stayed on the sidelines said that no one would want a vacation to a stranger's home. And that's what stopped and prevented many people from investing. Now, Airbnb has grown to a publicly traded company valued over $98 billion. But I think everybody can agree on this call that Airbnb is not what it once was. It's certainly changed, and we're seeing a lot of regulation coming into this market, as well as saturation as well. Here in Florida, the Senate actually approved additional regulations on vacation rentals. New Orleans, they banned them. I'm working with several hosts who are transitioning over now. Dallas had a ban on them due to a new zoning ordinance, and Phoenix as well. These are all major metropolitan cities that have one big priority right now, which is more affordable housing. And short-term rentals are actually making housing more expensive. It's great for an investor, but there's really no shortage of hotels in the US. As of today, right now, there's a 0-unit hotel shortage in the US. In terms of affordable housing units, we have a 7.2 million unit housing shortage. All right. So, opportunity is created where need needs to be filled. And that's with affordable housing. And now, with short-term rentals, not only are you seeing these cities and municipalities taking action, but everyday citizens are taking action into their own hands, right? So this St. Petersburg woman is fighting the housing crisis by reporting illegal short-term rentals in her free time. She's not getting paid to do this. She's not getting any benefit, but she's just calling them up, and it's already resulted in 88 violations being issued. So here we are. We have this massive housing shortage, 7+ million units where there's a shortage. Short-term rentals are making that problem only worse. And one of the things that I commonly hear from new investors is that, well, do other strangers really want to live with other strangers in a stranger's home? And I get it. It definitely is a valid thought. But the fact of the matter is that as a nation here, there are millions of people who are looking for something affordable. And also, as a nation, we're really moving into this nation of renters. So,
Yes.
everybody was unmuted. So yeah, we are certainly transitioning as a society, and we're also becoming a very individualized society. And affordability and flexibility, I would say, are two key priorities, especially for this newer generation that's coming in. And so as an investor, it's not only about kind of what's working in today's market, but you also have to have a vision for what's going to be working in the next 3, 5, 7 years. And I'm sure we could all agree here that affordability is not going to be getting better anytime soon. And so this is now something where we have to pick up on these trends and what are we seeing in the market. So this article was published by the NPR. And one of the hottest trends in US cities right now is changing zoning rules to allow more housing and greater occupancy in existing inventory. It's not that we don't have enough inventory. Sure, new builds and building is definitely a big part of this, but it's also how can we convert and capture underutilized space in our existing inventory to help serve those who serve our communities. This is an article that was published by the HUD, Housing and Urban Development. So federal government publicly advocating for co-living as a non-traditional affordable housing option. Okay, so you have states that are backing this up. You have the federal government who is publicly backing this up. And then there's also already states that are taking action to eliminate unfair occupancy limits, for example, here in Colorado. So they took those out to allow for more housing. And I'm personally in Jacksonville, and here in Jacksonville, they actually formed a special committee that is meeting on homelessness and affordable housing. I actually went to their first meeting last month. They do it on the third Thursday morning, the third Thursday of every month in the morning at 10 a.m. And I was there, had a chance to meet all 8 committee members. And in this next meeting that's coming up next Thursday, they're actually going to be inviting Joshua Hicks, who's the director of housing here in Jacksonville, to kind of speak on what has the city done in the past to, help with affordable housing and homelessness. So kind of getting the city public sector perspective. And then they're also inviting Cindy Falkhauser from the Scholzbecker non-for-profit housing authority here. So they are basically the largest, Northeast Florida's largest non-for-profit homeless development center in the area here. So they're going to be kind of speaking from the perspective of a non-for-profit. And we are now in discussions with the city to be that speaker from the private sector, right? Being able to advocate on how a private marketplace to affordable housing can make a difference. So just want to share that little nugget that not a lot of people know. We do a lot of lobbying efforts. We spend a lot of money on lobbying, not only on a federal level, but down to the state and city level to make sure that we have a say and an impact on these changes that are coming here. So let's talk about why PadSplit really is a better option for a single individual. All right, right now, the median cost for a studio here in the US is $1,544 per month. All right, and now traditional long-term rental income requirements say that you have to make 3 times the monthly rent in order to be able to qualify. So if you're a single individual and you're not making at least $54,000 a year, you're not even going to qualify for a studio. All right. Here in Jacksonville, we have about 43% of our households who make less than $60,000 a year. Right. So that's 430,000 people who have very limited options in terms of housing. With PadSplit, we only require 2 times the income, therefore making it more accessible. And again, that one weekly payment that they pay includes their rent, it includes the utilities, it includes their Wi-Fi. So it makes it really simple for them because they only have one bill that they have to pay and they don't have to worry about hauling all their furniture, everything around. So it makes it more accessible. It makes it more attractive for those who need it, especially for someone who's maybe working at a restaurant or maybe someone who's working at a bar or at Amazon or, at the grocery store or blue collar workers as well. I mean, the list is endless as far as who we service. I can personally tell you out of the 5 people that I have one guy who works in landscaping. I actually hired him personally to do my landscaping at my place. So it worked out really great. I have a guy who works at FedEx. I have a woman who is a gig worker. And then I have someone who works at Amazon. And then I also have someone who's working at a local restaurant. So again, and everybody's, fortunately getting along. We had a couple of issues that happened, but we were able to sort it out. But it is really a community component to this. And one thing to keep in mind is that, PadSplit is really more than just a room rental. All right. Not a lot of people know this, but we do provide fringe benefits to all the members to make it a better co-living experience for the community. So a really big one that a lot of members appreciate is positive credit reporting. All right. So this is huge. So what this means is as they're making payments on time, they're building their credit. Average member increases their credit by about 46 points. Everybody here is involved in real estate in some fashion. We all know how important credit is. And look, PadSplit, it's great. It's not meant to be a long-term solution. All right. The ideal thing would be to be a midterm solution to where you gain housing, right? And then you're able to increase your economic mobility to eventually go get your own place. We all know that housing is that #1 driver to economic mobility. Then we have telemedicine through Teladoc. All right. So if they face any sort of illness or anything like that, they can get connected to a registered nurse who can help provide guidance. And then we also offer interest-free microloans for any sort of hardships or accidents. We want to make sure they're able to get back on their feet and not be victims of some of those predatory payday loans or anything like that. So a lot of great fringe benefits that we offer. And for that reason, 88.8% of members would recommend PadSplit to a friend. So when we go back to that earlier point that I shared, it's like, do other strangers really want to live with other strangers in a stranger's home? Well, 89% of people would agree with that. So let's talk about a really important part of this model, because we have the tech, we have the tools, the desktop, the application, we have all that that's available. But part of this as well is the pad split conversion. This is key to maximizing your revenue, reducing vacancy, and also providing more affordable housing. It truly is the trifecta here. So left-hand side is that traditional long-term rental. Hypothetical example, right? You got 3 bedrooms, 2 bathrooms, 1 private ensuite bathroom, kind of a family room here, living room. This is sort of your standard bill in the US home now today. And it's only one stream of income. All right. So it's all or nothing. With PadSplit, and this is really where I can help guide and serve you, is we're going to see where is there space in this home that we can then convert to create additional habitable rooms and improve your overall outcome on the PadSplit platform as a host. And so this is where we have various tools that we can actually utilize to be able to create a 2D floor plan. We can kind of sketch up and mock up some drawings of what it would look like. Now, PadSplit will not be the one to do the conversion. All right, I want to be very clear on that. We will not do this work for you. However, over the last 6 years, we've built out an entire vendor network that includes licensed general contractors. It also includes vendors like lenders, insurance providers, realtors, photographers, really anyone that you kind of need on your team to be able to get you through this journey. And that's where I can also help facilitate those introductions, making sure that we're running the numbers on this and making sure that we're running all the analysis needed to make sure that you are successful as a host. And so the benefit of doing this is that you're going to be making more from this property, but you're also going to be mitigating your risk, or I should say diversifying your risk now, because you've essentially fractionalized this home now to where even if you have one room vacant, you should still be generating enough revenue to cover all of your expenses, which, would include the mortgage, which would include the utilities. So as the host, you are responsible for the utilities of the property. Now, we do have some best practices and some tips to help manage that expense. For example, like smart thermostats with a locked temperature range for summer and winter months. Also recommending like standing showers versus bathtubs to minimize your water expense. Now, there's a whole list of things that we can share with you and that I personally implemented and that I can vouch for that do work, right? So, this makes it more profitable, it provides more housing, and also is just a great solution to a need that we have right now today. So I want to see if there's any questions regarding this. Whenever I share this slide, this is kind of when the gears start turning. So I'll pause here. Feel free to take yourself off mute and share any questions that you may have, or drop them in the chat.
I want to just hop in really quick and say, one of the experiences that we've had with you, and I also worked with, I'm drawing a blank on her name, out of Vegas, Serena. No, not Serena. Serena is
Mendisa.
Mendisa.
Yeah.
I know it's easy to say, but does it actually happen? You mentioned that your goal is not to just say, oh, yep, great, PadSplit's perfect, let's go. You truly have analyzed, and so did she, properties with us. I mean, you have spent hours with us looking at properties, going through it. And if the numbers were really tight, or if it was like, or for Pam and I, there were a couple properties where like, we're uncomfortable.
Yeah.
You never were pushy. You never tried to, make a story up, so to speak, to make us feel like it would work. And you've always been really respectful of our decisions. And again, I found the same with Mandisa. And I really wanted to stress that I really appreciate and respect that. So thank you.
That means a lot.
Really important.
Thank you so much and for
Thank
sharing
you.
that. Yeah, I hate the icky, pushy salesman, and I'm never going to be that person. That's why, like, my official real title internally is account executive. But to me, I'm just like, oh, it sounds like you're going to try to sell me something. So a host advisor here, really to advise you throughout the journey. And thank you for sharing that testimony, Tracy. I appreciate that. I do see someone is having issues with seeing the slides. Melanie, is anyone else having issues with seeing the slides, or do you see them, Tracy?
I can see the slides.
Okay.
Okay, cool.
Sorry,
All right.
Melanie.
So I have a couple questions.
Sure.
First of all, like average age, like how many of the like how many senior Golden Girl type model houses are you seeing, and how successful are they compared to more of a focus on affordability?
Yeah, that's a really good question. Thank you for bringing that up. I'm actually going to exit out of my screen share here to bring in one of our reports that we ran. So we did a survey of all of our members, and this was back in December of last year, so within the last year, so pretty recent. There's tons of data here. I'm not going to go through it all, but I'm just going to highlight some of the top data. Now, 55% are male, 42.8% are female. We don't show the gender when an inquiry comes in. All right. When a member is interested in booking your place, you're only going to get to see kind of their application photo, their name, their occupation, their employer, the checks that we've done. We also have them take an optional PadMate personality test. So this is a way to see if this person is an early riser or a night owl. You can see if they're an introvert or an extrovert. You also get to see their overall cleanliness. So it kind of helps with building out a culture in that home. And then we also do provide member ratings. So members can rate other members, so that way you can see if this person's been a good roommate when they stayed in the past with other PadSplit members. And then also hosts can rate members as well, so you can see those ratings from other hosts. And then we also have a financial section, so you get to see how long they've been a member on PadSplit, what their on-time percentage is, on-time payment percentages. You can get to see a lot of kind of the financial data. And we also give you their phone number as well. So if you wanted to contact them, that's something that I personally do. I like to get a little 2 to 3 minute conversation, because you can generally kind of get a feel for a person after having a conversation with them on whether or not they're a good fit for the property. But I say all that we don't show gender, nor do we show age. You will get to see their age after you approve the inquiry. So it's going to be kind of hidden and screened out when it initially comes in. Now, I do want to, we collected everything from religion to age, and we also then collected, let me go here, the income. So I know it's a little bit hard to see, but this right here is the $10,000 income bucket, and then up to here is 50,000. So, right, you can see a large majority of our people are in that $10,000 to $50,000 income bracket when it comes down to that. So the average income is about $31,000 here on PadSplit. Only about 48% have their own vehicle. 46% do not. So this is also where it's really important to take a look and see, are you close to public transit with your home? Because that is going to be key for a lot of members. And there was also age. Where's age? Oh, maybe it's a little bit later
Yeah, I
on.
was going to say real quick, that is something that's huge. And until we really started talking with you, the transportation piece is something we didn't necessarily think about, and that is huge. And we still, no matter whether it's co-living or not, it's something now we've built into our model as we're buying homes. We rent all our homes to families that, are really on the verge, and we kind of take that leap of faith with them. And so public transportation is huge. I just really wanted to reiterate that, especially if we're talking workforce folks.
Right.
Heidi, to answer your question here, you can see this is the age distribution graph. So large majority are going to be between 25 and 45 years old. We do have about 20 to 25% that make up kind of 50 plus. But again, you're not going to really be able to see that age until they actually approve them. But the median age is about 36 years old, which is sometimes it's kind of catches people by surprise, because they tend to think of co-living and shared housing. Oh, it must be a bunch of college kids or traveling nurses or something like that. Well, college kids, they typically have on-campus dorms or off-campus housing. That's where they're going. And then when you think about traveling nurses, well, they're a pretty high income demographic. They're making 120K plus. So they're probably not going to be sharing a home with 5 to 6 other people. They're going to go get their own place. So we really don't hit any of those two markets, but that's like one of the most common misconceptions I think we get with PadSplit. It's just your everyday people, right? You go to the grocery store. I'd say probably 3 out of the 10 people that you pass would, be someone that would kind of fit within PadSplit and a good demographic. So everyday people that are serving our communities are who stay at a PadSplit. Question from Liz.
Yeah, sorry. So my question is, we have a house that we're doing a rehab on right now in Memphis, Tennessee, that we want to do PadSplit and looking to get a second one. Do you guys service that area? Is it a market that you're currently looking to open in?
Yeah, thank you so much for sharing that, Liz. So we do have a program that's called PadSplit Anywhere. And so I know I'd previously shared that map of all of our active live markets. And, for right now, Memphis is not on there. However, Memphis is part of our PadSplit Anywhere program. We essentially have like the top 100 most populated cities that are not currently active markets. And with the PadSplit Anywhere program, you get 3 out of the 4 core value adds. So you're gonna get the screenings that we do, which is the background check, the background screening, the income verification, and the eviction report. You're also gonna have the 24/7 support and with a TAR playbook and helping manage the people. And then we also offer the payment collection as well, and the system and the team that's dedicated towards that. The one piece that you're not going to get is the marketing. So we're not going to do paid advertising to drive demand. So what that means is you're going to have to put a little bit more sweat equity in sharing your listing and getting it out there. We will still syndicate your listing to 60 plus room rental listing services. So that's something that we do standard for any of our core market listings where there are these listing sites like roomies.com, roomster.com, zumper.com, and many others where you can just list a room for rent and gather leads. So we will syndicate your listing to all those 60 plus listing services, and it's going to be directly linked to your PadSplit listing. So you may get a couple organic hits from that, but we're not going to be doing any paid advertising in our PadSplit Anywhere program. Liz, if you are interested in that, we do have a team member who's specifically focused on PadSplit Anywhere. I'd be happy to introduce you to him so he can kind of help you get up and running with that program. I'm primarily focused on any of our core markets. So if anyone on this call owns properties in any of these cities or is planning to acquire properties in any of these cities, I can help make sure that we're kind of going through that process and providing you with all the guidance that you need.
Perfect. Yes, if you could please connect me, that would be great.
Awesome. Yep, I got your email here, so I'll make sure to go ahead and connect you to Zach. That's his name. Zach will help you with that.
Okay, thank you.
And I know Gina had a question right off the bat, and she was going to hold that. And then also in the chat, pardon me, Jetty had a question. Gina, are you free? Do you want to ask your question?
Sure. I own a single family rental. It's cash flowing in Macon, Georgia.
Mhm.
And in my mind, I've been thinking like, should I convert that to PadSplit? So I am trying to figure out, where do I begin the process of evaluating if this property is even in a good location and has the right bones to be considered? And if not, then I'll stop even thinking about it. But if someone said to me like, wow, this would be the perfect PadSplit location, I'm probably not going to kick out my renters because they're good. But next time it turns over, that would be a convenient time for me to say, okay, let's do the conversion now.
Yeah.
So I'm trying to like, how do I do that evaluation?
So let's do it live on the call right now. I'll kind of walk you through how I would analyze a property in terms of just kind of location and property analysis. So what's the address on that property?
123 Sun Valley Drive, Macon.
All right. So when I'm analyzing a property for PadSplit, 2 things. I'm going to take a look at the Google Maps, and then I'm going to also open up the Zillow listing. And so from a Google Maps perspective, what I'm looking for are nearby employers of those making between $20,000 to $60,000 a year, right? And there's no real like hard written rule, but I'd say anything within about a 2 to 5 mile kind of radius is kind of what we're looking for. And so I do see there's a C&J supermarket here. There's also, what does it look like? A couple of small businesses here. A Dollar General down the road. So all that is really good. And also when I go kind of further out west here, I do see a small shopping plaza. Looks like there's some kind of field here. So there are some businesses and then a Walmart supercenter. So that's huge. Like anytime you see any of these major retail plazas like Walmart's, Target's, Aldi's, Publix, you know, any of those are what we're looking for. And you can see just a lot of different fast food and shopping businesses here. So this is what I'm looking for. I'm also looking like convenience and access to a major road, which it looks like you're not too far, you know, from this highway access point right here. So all good things. So another thing that I'm looking for is like kind of how, like where is it located? Is it a corner lot? Is it on a cul-de-sac? Generally don't recommend cul-de-sacs because you're really bunched up and close with your neighbors, and parking can be quite an issue. So when it comes to parking, what I'm then looking at is I'm going into that street view. And so from the street view, I kind of want to see like, hey, how is the general area of this neighborhood, a general feel of this neighborhood, right? Is it a high end, you know, Class A neighborhood where you got palm trees and everything is, the hedges are all clean cut and you got, you know, Mercedes-Benzes down the driveways? Probably not a good fit for PadSplit, right? But if it's something like this where it's working class neighborhood, you know, I do like how there's quite a bit of space between neighbors. Like that's a great thing that I'm looking for. And then I'm also thinking about parking, right? So you have this one long driveway, but you have all this space here on the side, which could easily be gravelled out. I always typically recommend gravel over adding cement because gravel is permeable. And a lot of cities and ordinances have a certain restriction on the ratio between hard surface and permeable surface. So if you gravel it out, you're not going to have any issues with parking there. And parking is something that is sometimes easily overlooked, and I do recommend having some kind of organization with parking. For example, at my PadSplit, you know, I have these kind of like signs, and I have letters on the signs. I don't have numbers because the rooms are numbered, and so I don't want them to get confused because room 1 may not have a vehicle. But if I have parking spot 1 and someone in room 2, it could just get a little bit confusing. So I have letters on the parking spot so that way if, you know, room 2 has a vehicle, I can put them in A, B, or whatever it may be. So having some kind of organization to your parking, it's really helpful and helps eliminate disputes over, hey, you took my parking spot, blah, blah, blah. Like just keep it organized that way. So overall, from what I can tell, I feel like this is a really good fit. How are your neighbors at this property, Gina?
Oh, I've never even talked to my neighbors. I don't know
Cool.
anything about them. I have a property manager who's taking care of it. I've never heard anything about them.
That's awesome. So that's what I love to hear. You don't want to deal with nosy neighbors because, you know, one of the challenges that our host faces with, you know, NIMBYism, not in my backyard type of mentality. And so even though you're doing something that's good and that's solving for a need that's benefiting the local people who are serving the community, sometimes there's just, you know, neighbors who can be quite nosy. So love to hear that you're not having any problems with them. That's definitely a good sign. But if you were to decide to go down this route, oh, go ahead, Gina. Sorry.
Well, I was going to ask, is there a step, an action item that I should do to just kind of feel out what kind of neighbors I have? Because I've never tried to talk to them or anything like that.
So there's different schools of thought. There's some hosts who, you know, swear by introducing your property manager to, or having your property manager introduce themselves to the neighbors and just giving them a card. And that way, you know, just tell them, hey, this is just going to be a rental. Be very general, be vague. Just say, this is going to be a rental. If you have any problems, just give me a call first. That way, they're not calling the cop or the city first. You're going to be that first line of defense if there are any issues. And it's also good because, you know, if you have a neighbor who doesn't really care or whatever, and if something is kind of like out of whack going on, they'll call you first and they'll let you know if the other members don't report it. Now, the thing is, here's the thing, like you get a bunch of strangers who are paying their hard-earned cash to stay in these rooms. And so if there's someone in that home who's disrupting the peace, they're going to report it because now it's like their peace is being disrupted. And so essentially what I really like about PadSplit compared to like short-term rentals is that I always have eyes on the property. And I'm fortunate that I have a snitch at my property. If you're a PadSplit host and you have a snitch at your property, that is like golden. Like you want to have someone who is there reporting people who are, you know, causing disruptions. And, you know, I take care of her. Really, I gave her a gift card just the other day because she was reporting somebody was like intentionally locking the bathrooms, right? So I get, you know, from the inside, so that way other people wouldn't use it. So, you know, I gave her a gift card to the Winn-Dixie across the street and she was so thankful. So I know it sounds silly, but it's very true. And it, you know, it is good to just always have someone that you can trust and that you can count on.
Like you're a house cleaner, maybe, right? E? I know some people.
House cleaner, yeah, but they're not always at the property, you know,
Right.
and the house cleaner. So that's a really good point that you bring up, Pam. I do recommend having, you know, monthly clean of the shared space, the shared kitchen, the shared bathrooms, in the hallways and anything like that. And that way they can also be additional eyes on the property.
Right. I think Megan, do you have your hand up?
I do. Hi, guys. Hi, Tracy and Pam. How are you?
Good. How are you?
Doing well, doing well. I tried to get you guys this last Tuesday, but I was out camping and had not enough reception. So
Well, we get you today.
Thank you so much. It's Patrick, right?
It's E, just the letter E.
So sorry.
It's okay.
But thank you, E. Thank you so much for being here and sharing your knowledge with us. What do you find? Can you give kind of a range of what it costs to transition a single family home into a pad split, say for instance, a 3-bedroom to a 5 or 6 bedroom?
Sure.
Of course, that's going to be dependent on, I'm sure, location. I'm in Denver, so it's a little different, I suppose.
Yeah, definitely a lot of factors. And on that question, I want to share this PadSplit buy box, which I will share with you know, Pam and Tracy, so that way they can disseminate this to the group. So this is something that I personally created to help serve my clients, so that way they sort of have a written guide on like what to look for. So this also, you know, ties into Gina's earlier question, because again, we really want to look for those metro areas with those employers or those individuals make between $30,000 to $60,000 a year. And then recommended square footage is at least 1,200 square feet. The reason for that, if you're buying in today's you know, high interest rate environment, the numbers really don't get to work until you hit 5 rooms. So that's really kind of the minimum that we look for. Now, can it work with the 4-room? Yeah, absolutely. But it might be a wash between that and long-term rentals in terms of the numbers. And then it really tips into the favor at 5 rooms. Now, the sweet spot, what you'll find is like to hit those kind of like 500 to 1,000 plus cash flow after all expenses and debt service, you know, you're really looking between 6 to 8 rooms is that sweet spot that you're looking for. Now, in terms of the cost conversion, it's really hard to say because every project is so different. Contractors, you know, we all know that, you know, that range can vary quite widely. So what I suggest is like, if you're looking to add rooms, if it's just a simple temporary wall that has to go up, you're probably looking at around $2,000 to $4,000 in that range. Now, if it's to where you have to maybe relocate the fan, maybe relocate some electrical outlets, some, you know, switches and things like that, or even moving an AC vent. So sometimes what happens is when you seal off a living room, well, now that AC vent is on the outside of the room and you don't have any ventilation going inside, then you have to get an HVAC technician to relocate it and have one inside as well. So something like that where additional work is needed, I'll probably budget around, you know, I'd say 4,000 to 7,000, maybe 4,000 to 8,000 per room. So yeah, it really does vary. And that's where it's best to get a contractor or someone who you trust to get in there and get you a bid on that. But I can help at least provide you with sort of a blueprint, a floor plan of kind of what it would look like, so you can hand that off to them and they can then go from there.
Okay. That actually, the air ducting was one of my biggest questions. So each room needs to have ventilation, needs to have an air vent.
Yeah, so let's actually talk about the room.
I mean, that sounds terrible, but
no, yeah, 100%. You definitely need ventilation in every single room. And so this blue box right here in the PadSplit buy box that I'm sharing right now, it's, you know, it talks about the size, right? So we want at least 80 square feet. Now that's the bare minimum. I definitely recommend to have 90 plus square feet, just because it makes it a more comfortable quality place to stay. But sometimes, depending on the layout, the best we can do is 80 square feet. So we don't want to have more than 1 or 2 of these kind of 80 square foot rooms, just because they're not as desirable to live in. That shortest wall cannot be less than 7 feet, and the height of the room must be 7 feet as well. All right, so this is where we're utilizing an app called Cubicasa. So if you haven't heard of Cubicasa and you're taking notes, write it down. They have it on the App Store and the Google Play Store. And this is like, I wouldn't be as successful as I am in my role without this application. So what it does is essentially it creates floor plans of any property within 5 minutes, and it's free. Doesn't get better than free. And so you just take your phone as if you're taking a video of the property, you walk through it, and then what it does is it creates this 2D floor plan that shows the egress points. It labels automatically the rooms. It shows you the measurements of the rooms as well, which is again key for those conversions. And so this is what I'm using then to kind of then mock up and what it would look like with the pad split conversion, because one of our additional requirements that we have is also, let me bring this back in and then we'll scroll down. So one of the additional requirements that we have are 2 points of egress in every room, right? So you have to have either a window or a door that goes to the outside of the home. This is a fire and safety code requirement. In the event of, a fire or an emergency, they need to be able to have a window or a door that they can access to get outside of the home, and then a door that goes to the inside shared space of the home. So what this means is that room must have a door that goes into either a hallway or a kitchen. You can't have a door that goes into another room. That wouldn't count. And then as we talked about, an AC vent and a smoke detector in every room.
Cool. Okay. I'm in kind of a unique situation. We have a
You're fine.
3-year-old.
Yeah.
We have a home remodeling company, so I'm trying to figure out a way to keep our installers busy. And the thought was get them working on something like this.
Yeah. Which city are you located in?
We're in Denver.
Denver. So that's going to be one of our newest core markets that's going to be going live soon. So if you haven't already, and I suggest this to everyone on this call, but go on to padsplit.com and create a host account. So just by going on to padsplit.com, you can click on host on PadSplit. Really important. I've had some people go on there and create a member account. Like, ew, why does it look like I'm trying to rent a room? You made a member account by accident. If that happens, let me know. We can get you, transferred over. But just really important, make sure you just hit on this host on PadSplit. It should be like this kind of white landing page with the red button to click start hosting. So this is such a key priority for a couple different reasons. Number one, you're going to gain access to all the tools and resources that I'm about to share with you here shortly. Number two, you're going to be the first to know about updates at PadSplit. If we go into a new market, if there's any changes on the platform, our hosts are the first ones to be alerted via email. But thirdly is like, if you do decide that, okay, I'm ready to become a PadSplit host, well, now you have one less thing you have to do. So that's why I always encourage everyone, create that PadSplit host account so that way you can find out when we begin growing into new markets.
Okay, awesome. And hold on. Stop.
Also, real
We're
quick,
doing construction.
I want to say that real quick. I was just going to say that having that account, that host account, has been so helpful. There are so many amazing resources on there. I absolutely recommend. Even, I'm going to just say it, even if you don't think you want to be a PadSplit host, take advantage of it. It's there. Just do it. There's so much great information there.
I can't like emphasize that enough. Thank you for sharing that, Tracy, because it's like, just for the data alone, like, hey, if you want to go do room rentals on your own, we encourage it. Like, we want you to go try to do it on your own, and we'll give you the data to go try and do it, because it's not an easy business, especially when you're thinking about the low income kind of affordable housing space of shared housing. It is a very challenging business, and encourage you to talk to any local property managers and ask them if they would be willing to do it and what they were charged. I promise you, it's probably going to be a lot higher than what we were charging. So create that account, look at the data, and grow your shared housing business. Megan, did you have one more thing you wanted to add on?
No, sir, I'm all good. Thank you so much.
Awesome. My pleasure. So in the sake of time, I want to just kind of take ourselves back to the presentation. And I know I see a couple other hands up. If you can please just write down your question in the chat. And then I 100% will make sure that we will get to that. But I just want to make sure that we get through some of the content that we have here, because it may even address your question that you may have. So I just want to talk about kind of my personal experience and how it was. So I call her the big blue dream house. She's big, she's blue. It's where dreams find the room to grow. Like I said, I'm very creative, so it's kind of like a creative project for me as well. But basically, it was a 4-bedroom home. There was 3 bedrooms, 2 bathrooms in the main home, and then there was 1 bedroom with a living room area and a bathroom in the ADU that was already there. And purchase price on this was $185,000. To get it just into rent-ready condition, there was about $40,000 that needed to be, that was required investment to get to a total investment of $225,000. So as a long-term rental, if I would have rented out each of these individually, it would have come out to about $2,220 per month. So total gross at about $26,400. Now with the PadSplit, what we did was, and I'll share with you the floor plan so you guys can actually see the changes, the modifications that we made. But the main home was converted to a 6-bedroom, 2-bath, and then this ADU was converted to 2 bedrooms, 1 bath, and just by converting that living room over. So total of 8 bedrooms. There's quite a bit of more work that needed to be done to get that. So we did a full bathroom remodel. We did full flooring, painting, adding a couple walls, and just kind of refreshing up the place. So got us up to, $266,000 in total. Now the average weekly rate in this area in 32210 of Jacksonville is right around $165. And again, I'm going to show you a map where you can actually see that data live there. So total gross, we're looking at around $68,000. So just looking at this, comparing these two, there's a tremendous difference in terms of my potential earnings. But now, obviously, we also have to look at the expenses. So for vacancy as a long-term rental, I'm assuming 5%. For PadSplit, I'm assuming about 15% vacancy. That's kind of the current rate in this zip code. No cost for utilities. There's obviously no fee as a long-term rental. I'm sorry, as a PadSplit here. And then we have the maintenance budget and then the taxes and insurance. And now with PadSplit, again, you're going to be responsible for the utilities. And so estimating about $6,600 here for electric, water, and internet. And then the PadSplit fee, which comes out to about 12%. We're going to talk about that later on, exactly what that breaks down to, but it's roughly around 12%. Budgeting about $7,000 for that, and then our maintenance capex. So this includes monthly cleanings, the landscaping, pest control, and plus with there being more people, I did increase that maintenance and capex budget more than double. So taxes and insurance is also a little bit higher because I also had to get liability insurance. So that was about an additional $2,000 to get that to make sure I'm covered from a liability perspective. So total annual expenses, only about five. Oh, this is definitely off. This is not right. Sorry, I forgot to update that, but it's right around 6,600. And total annual expenses with PadSplit is about $35,000. So NOI looking at 21K, and then with PadSplit 33,000. So and a cap rate 9.4 to 12.6. So a solid 34% increase in earnings compared to a traditional single family rental. Not even to mention the fact that now I'm serving a demographic that maybe very likely wouldn't have qualified for, traditional rentals. So again, opening up my pool of who I can service, and then also the risk mitigation associated with having these kind of, this fractionalized renting approach. So I always love to share real numbers, and talk about kind of like, how my experience was. And I see some questions coming into the chat, so we'll get to those here in a bit. I do want to show you kind of what it looked like before and then after the conversion. So this is the main home. So we had a master bedroom with the master bathroom and a walk-in closet here. There was bedroom 2 that had a reach-in closet, hallway bathroom here, and then this bedroom here that had 1, 2, 3 closets and plus the air handler in this area right here. We had the living room, a foyer, dining room, and the kitchen and laundry in the back here. So with the conversion, I immediately saw there was probably around 6-room potential here. But with that, we then needed a shared bathroom. Rather than trying to figure out how we can build out a bathroom, well, let's use the existing space. And so first thing we did was just add this makeshift kind of hallway and still had enough space in this room for it to be a qualified room, had the point of egress with the window here. So now this is a shared bathroom with this hallway that was created. Bedroom 2, there was no modification needed, kept it as is. Now bedroom 3, this is where a lot of magic happened. So here again, remember we had those 3 closets. So what we did was use this egress point and added this wall here and blew out this opening here for a door. And then we took out all the walls that were here that made up the closet and then relocated the air handler to the dining room. So this is a better location for the air handler because it's more centrally located. The condenser is kind of right here behind the bathroom. So it just overall, it made sense. And that's the thing, when you're doing these modifications, you want to do something that makes sense. You're not just doing it just for the simple fact of having a PadSplit. You want to make sure that for the home, it's something you want to do. And then for the living room, we basically just enclosed this living room now, and you don't have to add a closet when you're adding these additional rooms. Rather, as long as they have a place to store their clothes, like a dresser, a wardrobe, an armoire, anything like that is sufficient to to qualify it as a pad split room. Now this foyer here, this is large enough to be a room. I think it came out to just shy of 100 square feet, like 98 square feet. But it was a smaller sized room. And so in order to make it a little bit more desirable, right, it has this private entrance now. And then everybody else accesses the home through this back entrance here. So just again, if you have these smaller size rooms, always trying to see what can I do with value adds to make this a better room. All my rooms do have mini fridges and a work desk. I have found that those two room amenities are the most desirable amongst members when they're kind of considering PadSplit. So when it comes to what are members taking into account when booking a room, there's three key factors. So if you're taking notes, please write this down because it's so important. Number one is price. Above all, price is that number one determining factor on whether or not they're going to be booking that room. So, affordability is the key here. So price is going to be a key decision factor in their process. Secondly, is going to be the convenience of the home. So that's why when we were kind of going through Gina's property, I was looking at like, what is conveniently located? Now, preferably we would love to have something within a reasonable walking distance, like either one of those corner stores or a gas station. Those certainly do help a lot. And then thirdly is going to be kind of the room amenities, right? And that's where I do recommend having those mini fridges and the work desk. If you think about it, people eat other people's food in an office setting, and undeniably it's going to happen in a home setting. So one way to mitigate that risk is by having the mini fridges in the rooms, because each of those interior locks do have the electronic locks on them to help them secure their stuff. So wanted to kind of go through that. We're going to talk about the length of term and the fees. Absolutely. I do have a slide on that. And the average cost of turning a room over between residents, it's right around $80 to $90. So my cleaner charges me $80 for the shared space and then $10 for every additional room that's there. One of the things that I do offer my members is I tell them, like, when the cleaners come in, and if they want to have the room cleaned, it's $20. All right. So I make a little $10 profit on that. They get their room cleaned. Everybody's happy. So that's something you definitely recommend working out with the cleaner. And what would be the average cost to add a bedroom, taking over dens, living rooms, dining rooms? Yeah. So those, again, it varies greatly, Melanie. But I would say, again, anywhere between as low as $2,000 to upwards of $8,000, depending on what needs to be modified in that room. And would I recommend adding on-site storage that residents can rent for an additional fee or encourage to take storage nearby? Absolutely. So that is one of the two kind of additional revenue drivers that you can have in your home. I know a couple hosts who do that, where they offer like either a closet that's available, and then there's like a lock code to be able to access it, or they have maybe a shed, and then we don't actually have it kind of like built in the platform, but you can put it in like your description that, hey, on-site storage is available. Please send me a message if you're interested. And then if they aren't interested, you can work with our support team to have their price adjusted for that additional, option that's available. So definitely on-site storage, something I encourage. Typically we see those going running for about like kind of probably $40 to about $100, $120 or so, depending on the size of that storage. So another revenue driver, the second one that I personally implemented, are the commercial washer and dryers that have a Bluetooth enabled device to be able to pay electronically. All right. So, I don't recommend the ones that have the coins. First of all, we live in 2024. People even carry coins with them anymore. So I don't want that. And also they get jammed up, they break. But there is this device called a pay range. And so I do have a connection and a contact who's a distributor of these. And it's great because people can just download an app, and with this app, they're able to basically pay electronically. They can do Apple Pay, they can do Google Pay. And so again, very transparent. I'm gonna show you my dashboard here. So in the last month, you can see I've earned how much in the last month. It doesn't seem right. I've earned more than that. There we go. Yeah, so that's a good trend line. So, $132 just since last week or a couple of weeks ago. So, yeah, it's been about 5 weeks or so, 6 weeks. And so this is a great way for you to be able to not only make more revenue off the property, but also minimize your utility expense. because now they're not just using it to wash like, a t-shirt or two or anything like that, or they're not inviting people over to wash their stuff, right? You have some control over that and reduction expenses as well. Let's see. I would like to know about lenders for purchasing the property and if there are issues about getting financing. Also, do you take into consideration the possible need to refinance or convert a listing area back into the floor plan to sell in the future? Yes, that is certainly a big component of this, and we definitely want to have a strategy going into this. So going back to that vendor network, and again, I'll show you this here through the platform. This is why, again, it's so important to create that PadSplit host account, because you will gain access to this vendor network. So, when you get signed into your PadSplit account, it's going to take you right here to your dashboard. Right below here, you see this section that says Browse Vendors. You can click right into here, and this is now where you can find GCs, property managers, agents, lenders. You can go ahead and, let's say, find a lender in the Jacksonville market. And the key thing about this is that you're working with someone who understands PadSplit. So to join our vendor network, there is a very rigorous process and a high standard that you're held to. Number one, you have to apply. So there's an application that's required. Every application is reviewed by our GM. And if you are selected, you have to go through an interview process. If you pass the interview, then you have to go through the training process as well. And then we continue to hold you to a standard. So if we get any word or feedback from hosts that you're not doing what you're supposed to, or it's poor quality experience, we will take you off the vendor network. But here you can see we have multiple vendors who are available. Jeff Weller is one who I was encouraged just because he does have that PadSplit loan, which allows you to be able to refinance or finance an already converted PadSplit home. Now, the one caveat to this lending product is that the interest rate is a bit higher than a traditional DSCR. You're looking anywhere from about percentage to a percentage and a half point higher, which can make or break a deal. When we're thinking about how we want to do the financing on a property, most times, right, you're going to get into it with a hard money loan or a private money loan to get it into rent-ready condition, right? So you want to do up into the point for it to be, good enough for an appraiser for as a traditional rental. Now, there are parts of the conversion that may be able to be done. So, for example, like if I, enclosing this living room here, and if I just keep this doorway open, right, and I don't put a door with an electronic lock and a number on it, that's not going to ding me on my appraisal. You can have an enclosed living room. That's fine. This room, this is technically an office, right? It wouldn't be appraised as a bedroom, but I will have an office for this room. So there are parts of this conversion, right, that I can do even during the renovation period. Now, the one thing I wouldn't do is add this hallway here, right? I would wait until I get my appraisal done. As soon as that appraisal is done, I get my contractor back in there, get him to out of this wall, get him to out of the doors, the electronic locks and the numbers on the doors, everything that needs to be done. So this is where it's so vital and so key to work with a host advisor like myself, and then also work with a vendor who understands PadSplit to make sure that we have a strategy going into this. Now, I think this is just kind of a short-term hurdle that investors are going to have to go through. We have the financial data, we have the performance data to show that this works, but we just haven't yet reached kind of that caliber of having like an institutional investor that is willing to back this up yet. Again, we're going through a year change. We've proven the model the last 6 years. I really think next year is going to be the big year for us. That's going to be that big breakout year. We saw it with Airbnb, where it was year 7 that they had explosive growth and they reached what they call a critical mass event, right? That caused them to accelerate tremendously. So we are already in discussions with some big lenders and some big institutional investors who see the value of this, but we're just kind of working through it with them. So we do believe that our critical mass event is coming, and it may be right around the same 7 to 8 year mark. But for right now, there are these sort of kind of workarounds that we have to deal with. But thankfully, again, you're working with someone who understands it. We have vendors who can help you. We're going to have a strategy going into it. So a lot of good engagement, a lot of good questions. Let's keep it moving. So I just want to share with you kind of an example. Now, one thing to keep in mind that's really important when you're thinking about PadSplit versus short-term rentals, you do not have to provide linens, towels, or pillows. Okay, all you have to provide is a mattress, a place to store clothes, and a nightstand. All right, those are the bare necessities. And I staged my photos, right? Marketability of a room is key. And so I did stage it, but we instruct them on PadSplit to let them know that, hey, you do not have, you will have to bring your own linens, towels, and pillows. I also include it in my welcome message as well, so that way they're aware. You can see the work desk, the electronic locks, very standard stuff. I would say the cost to furnish a room, you're going to be looking anywhere around between, I'd say 500 on the low end to upwards of maybe 1,000, 1,100 on the high end. I do also have providers who can help do that for you. Just earlier this week, I connected with a hotel liquidator. So what she does is she, goes to these hotels that are shutting down, gets all the furniture, and is able to ship it directly to property owners' homes. And so that furniture is great because it's like commercial grade, it's high quality, it's coming from a hotel, and she was charging $350 per room of all the stuff that you need, right? Except the mini fridge. But it was like $350. Oh my God, it's incredible. Now that doesn't include freight and shipping, and it was coming out of Kissimmee, but still, that's a really good rate. And even locally, I do have some providers here in Jacksonville who can help do that. And we have them in each of our core markets as well. So if 8 bedrooms, should there be at least 1 or 2 sets of washers and dryers? It depends. Yeah, I mean, it's your choice. You don't have to. Certainly it will lead to a better experience. Right now, I just have the main home that's done. I'm still working on the ADU that's in progress right now. So, I do intend to have a washer and dryer set in there as well. What about having a company which offers the service of bringing in the washer and dryer to the home and charging the members for it? That could be a service too. So here's the beautiful thing that I love about PadSplit is like you get to run your business how you want to. We have some very minimum guidelines in order to be listed. But if you want to, offer these additional services or approach your business in a different way, I would say do it, go for it. So there's 3 types of PadSplit deals. You have your turnkey PadSplit. A lot of people don't even know about this. So we have a PadSplit marketplace where you can actually buy or sell turnkey PadSplit homes that have already been renovated, converted, and have members in them. Again, another reason to create a PadSplit host account, because you'll actually gain access to this marketplace and you're going to be able to see not only the photos and the description, which rooms are occupied versus which ones are vacant, but you're then also going to see the historical revenue of that property. Because this property has been listed on our platform, we can verify and validate and share the historical revenue of that property so you can see how it's been performing. What we find on average, when you take into account all the expenses, your operating expense ratio is around 50 to 55% with property management and all the expenses included, taxes, insurance, utilities, maintenance, CapEx, all that. It's going to be right around 50 to 55%. If you're self-managing, closer to around 45%. All right. So I only share that because a lot of these properties are kind of valuated as like multifamily properties at like an 8% cap rate. So that's how you can kind of estimate what that net operating income would be divided by that 8%. And then you get the value of that property. The second deal is a rent-ready deal, right? So this is one that you don't really have to do any rehabbing on. It's pretty much ready to go. Maybe it's already been a rental. It's been a primary owner occupied property. And all you need to do is see where can we add those additional rooms to then make it ready for PadSplit. And then the final one is a distressed property, which I like to coin the BRRRR. So we all probably heard of the BRRRR, where you buy, you renovate, you refinance, you rent, and then you repeat. Well, with the BRRRR, as we talked about earlier, kind of with the refinance, it's a little bit different. This is where you buy, you renovate, you first refinance, all right? There are DSCR lenders out there who will lend with just the appraiser's market rental rate, and you don't have to have a tenant in there, right? So you want to work with those lenders. So you refinance first, then you PadSplit, you add the rooms, and then you repeat, right? So that's the BRRRR for you. We're starting a new trend. So let's just keep it moving here, and then we'll close out with some questions. So 990,000 employees in Jacksonville. All right. This was recently pulled earlier this year. And of those 990,000, 43% fall within our target demographic of making between $20,000 to $60,000 a year. So that's a total of 426,000 employees here just in Jacksonville alone who are searching for affordable housing. Now, I want to mention that this is not going to be like, not everyone's going to be a good fit for PadSplit. But even if it's, 10% of that, that's still 42,000 people that might be a good fit. So I want to also highlight the scalability here with PadSplit. Like co-living and shared housing and renting rooms, it's nothing new. It's literally been going on for hundreds of years. In fact, Abraham Lincoln was even renting a room before he was a president. So it's not a new concept, but what we're doing here is revolutionizing the way room rentals and shared housing has been done, that is streamlined, but more importantly, as an investor, scalable. All right, so this is a case study here of a host in Jacksonville, 43 total rooms, 93% occupancy, $159,000 year to date. And this has gone up because when I screenshotted this, we were like in mid-August. So this has certainly gone up by now. But in January, he only had one property. It was an 8 bedroom, producing him a solid about $7,000. And then he began scaling up, and now he's already scaled up to 7 homes. And again, that's 7 homes in about 5 month period, and now he's making some incredible earnings. This is showing right between 20 to 30, I'm sorry, 30 to 35,000 on these this top section right here, and this is 25 to 30,000. Another one of our hosts out of Atlanta, 100 total rooms, 87% occupancy, $545,000 year to date. And here it's 80,000, 100,000, 60,000. You can see consistently has been earning between, say, call it 70 to $80,000 every month. So again, when we think about Airbnb to short-term or Airbnb short-term rentals to PadSplit, short-term rentals, high seasonality. Some months you may have fully occupied, other months you may not have any occupancies. And especially during the off season, it's a struggle. So here with PadSplit, because you're solving for a need, you see this consistency month over month. Now, this is a huge one, right? So this is a host out of Tampa, 369 total rooms, 82% occupancy, and year to date, you can see has made over $1.78 million. And again, even at this scale, that consistency is key here. So the question that everybody probably has on their mind, oh, this is great, but what is it going to cost me? Okay, so we have a very simple and transparent fee structure to really help you position yourself to grow your co-living portfolio. It's a 2-part fee structure. Just as with any property manager, any long-term rental property manager, there is a booking fee. All right, think of this as like a tenant placement fee, but we call it the booking fee, member placement fee, whatever you want to call it. But this is just the placement of that member, where PadSplit will take the first 10 days of revenue after move-in. Now, after those first 10 days, for as long as they stay in that room or with any room in your portfolio, it's only 8% on revenue after the booking fee. And that's any revenue collected, whether it be from the weekly dues, whether it be from late fees, whether it be from penalties, anything that we collect, it's 8%. And yeah, Effie, good point there. Those are not average performers. Those, I mean, they, for the most part, right, we see great results, but those are like performers who are at scale. And those were gross numbers. So I'm not trying to like paint some imaginary picture here. Really take home here is closer to about 800,000, 850,000, and here's closer to it's still very incredible numbers. Now going back to this fee model, we have a 12-week commitment. All right. And this is new. This is kind of hot off the press. This was just announced last week. And our platform is being changed to accommodate this update. It used to be 31 days, but now we have a 12-week commitment. Average stay 6 to 9 months. Now, when somebody goes to book a room, they're going to have 2 options. All right. Option 1, they just pay for that first week and they move right in. Now, the thing is, if they break that commitment period and they move out early, there is a 2-week fee that is automatically billed to their payment method on file. And that's, kind of the early termination fee for moving out early. The other option that they have is to pay an upfront $175 flexibility fee for stays that are less than 12 weeks. So if somebody knows that they're going to be staying for less than 12 weeks, they can pay this fee. And if they move out early, they won't have to worry about it. This does go to the host. All right. So the reason we have this policy in place is because we want to make sure our hosts are not having facing losses because of this booking fee. This new fee model we rolled it out earlier this year in May. We've been gathering a lot of feedback, mostly critical feedback, and we understand that. And that's why we are looking to update this and make this change, but we also want to give you control. All right. And this is where our direct book feature is going to help you find your members and save on that booking fee. So this is a way for you to be able to create a code and a link that if you can go out market and find these members on our own, we want you to go do that. We encourage you to do that. And we do that by waiving that booking fee if you self-source a member. All right. So we want to, again, give you full control in your business here. So, yeah, I love that we listen to the feedback too. I just want to share a personal story here. Again, like, as you guys know, I'm very transparent. And so, you know, I knew going into this, my first month, I was going to have very high booking fees. I had 2 early move outs. I had, you know, just, you know, that first month, that's your stabilization period. So just be very clear that first month, it's your earnings statement's not going to be that good. And I want to share with you my first month's earnings statement, just so you understand that this is part of the model, and over the long run, you're going to be paying a lot less. We used to charge 15% flat, but what we found in our data, this is a way to drive a better experience and also less revenue. But the first month is rough. You know, I made over $1,100 and $907 went to fees. But now my next month, you know, it's going to be much better. So I just share this with you because you want to have some working capital available even after you go live. As with any business that you start, there's always a ramp up period. When I started my video production business, it took me 6 months to ramp up. Here it's 1 month. So I'm very happy about that. So just, I share that with you to understand that this will happen. This is normal, not out of the norm, but it's not going to be something that happens every single month. And I agree with you as well. This is an incredible change, and we are going to be hopefully rolling out some more great stuff, some great news for our hosts, because we really want to make sure we're committed to the growth. So one of the common questions I get about is a code. Like, what about zoning? What about, you know, single family code? I want to share this with you just to drive a point home on that. Our whole belief here is that a lot of these major cities are dealing with these affordable housing issues because of the outdated zoning restrictions that are in place. And so in Jacksonville, this is directly from the Code of Ordinances. A family is an individual, it's one or more persons occupying a single dwelling unit, provided that all members are related either by law, this is a really good point here, blood, adoption, or marriage, and no family should contain over 5 persons. This is often something that I hear from new investors who are interested in investing in Jacksonville. And it's an understandable point. I get it. But what they fail to mention, or what they fail to understand, is that it also mentions that domestic servants who are employed on the premise may be housed on the premise without being counted as a separate or additional family or families. So what this means is if myself and 5 other buddies wanted to go rent a place, technically we'd be breaking the code because we have now 6 unrelated individuals in a home. But if I employ 2 buddies as a butler and 2 buddies as housekeepers and a buddy as a chef, that's totally cool in the eyes of current code. So I share this as just kind of a stark reality that like, should this be a concern? Perhaps, but it shouldn't stop you from making the decision, because our whole belief is that this is going to be changing soon. Chef Boyardee, all the butlers, that's it. But in the meantime, until that changes, we do have a proven legal strategy for hosts that will help, you know, enable and mitigate your risk, right? So one thing that's very important to understand is that you have to exclusively commit to PadSplit. And when you go live on PadSplit, there will be a corporate long-term lease agreement. It's a year-long lease agreement. We can, you know, modify to include a 60-day written out clause in there if needed, but it's a year-long lease agreement in which you or your home in which the home is held, the LLC in which the home is held in, is the landlord, and then the PadSplit LLC serves as the tenant. Every state, all 50 states across the US, recognize an LLC as an individual entity. All right. And in this corporate long-term lease agreement, in the section where it talks about rental rate, the rental rate would be member dues collected minus platform fee. So we don't commit to a specific monthly amount, rather it's what we're able to collect. And then the members, once they pass our background, financial, and income verification checks, then they have to agree to the members' operating agreement to become a member of that PadSplit LLC. A couple of reasons why we do this. Number one, we tie relation amongst all the members. Going back to that earlier point, by law, right? Now we have a legally binding document that ties the relation of all the individuals in that home, because now they're all part of the same member-based organization. And number two, we are not classified as a rooming house or a boarding home. Every state or city requires rooming houses or boarding houses to be available to the public. We are not technically available to the public because we have those checks in place. And we also have a $19 application fee as well. So that's how we're not a rooming house or a boarding home. So we've covered a lot. And I want to close out before we jump into questions with just a quick video, because I think when it comes down to this, it's all about making an impact and making a change. Obviously, the financials and the profit here is incredible. But going back to Tracy's earlier point, this is all about helping people. And just want to share, this quick video that shares some success stories. So, Tracy, if I can get it to the thumbs up when this plays, the audio.
Yeah, it's playing. I have to hop off, you guys. Thank you so much. Pam will stay on. Thanks, guys. Oh, I can't hop off because I'm hosting.
Oh, shoot. Hold on, let's pause it. Can you make me the host or Pam the host?
Yes, let me see how to do that. Do you know how to do that, E?
Let's see.
Host tools. Let me try this. Let's see.
Yeah, you should be able to maybe just select on it and then like participants and make me the host.
Yep, let's try that. Oh, I see what you're saying. Yep. Okay, let me try that. Thanks for your patience, everybody. Sorry, I've got a hard stop here, but I don't want to I don't want to change anything because this is amazing. Okay, make host.
There you
Make
go.
PadSplit web. Yep, change host.
All right, should be good now. Thank you so
Okay.
much, Tracy.
Yeah, thanks everybody. We'll see y'all next Thursday, hopefully. Okay, bye.
Yeah. Bye. All right, it's a quick video. Just want to share this with everyone. Maximize the screen.
I started out with not having anywhere to go. I'm couch to couch, and that ran me into someone that told me about PadSplit. Clean, affordable prices leave you room to actually save and grow. And clean bathroom, clean kitchens, free Wi-Fi. A person like me, I didn't have a cell phone, so I was able to use the internet.
These properties are so well maintained. You're going to get things fixed here if you stay long term. You'll see what I mean. Much, much better than most apartment complexes.
I love PadSplit. Again, I love to save money. I'm very frugal. And with all my utilities included, and the fact that I don't have to go off site to wash and dry my clothes, like I couldn't have asked for more. My roommates are awesome. Customer service is awesome. You have a problem, any maintenance concerns that you have, they are quickly handled by the PadSplit support.
I am an advocate for PadSplit for multiple reasons, primarily because I am able to save money compared to traditional housing. Me saving money has allowed me to purchase a vehicle in this time that I've lived here, and an added benefit is my improved credit score due to the reporting from PadSplit. Very nice, I like it.
I was homeless at the beginning of the year, and now I have a place, and they have worked with me, and they have just been a great blessing. Please apply. Try to get a PadSplit. Wonderful.
I was fresh out of college 2 years ago, and I had no idea where I was gonna go. And then I found out about PadSplit, and it, kept me in the city, and it kept me around my friends and around everything I wanted to do within my major. So I highly recommend PadSplit because it is the most convenient thing that will ever work out for you. And I promise you, you won't regret it.
And I want to thank PadSplit for giving me the opportunity to not struggle with living conditions and progress as I am now.
So it's just really powerful to get to hear some of these stories and how others have been able to, change their lives through PadSplit. And I can personally attest to this. I had my very first member who moved in. She was staying in a PadSplit in Vegas and spent some time there. And then she found out that her mom, who lives here in Jacksonville, had gone to the hospital due to an emergency that had happened. And within a couple of days, she was able to pack up all her stuff, get a ticket here to Jacksonville, and be able to move into one of my rooms. And now she's, closer to her mom. She's got a job here now. And it's just really, it was really touching to hear that story. And at the end of the day, we're all here to make an impact, and I want to be able to be here to help you in making an impact. So I just, in the chat, I shared my contact information. This is my direct number that you can reach me at. You can text me, or you can also email me there. And then there's also a link to book a meeting. So if you do have a potential property, Gina, I would love to connect with you. We can kind of walk through the numbers. One of the things I did not get a chance to share just because of time right now, but I'll show it really quickly here, is the map, right? So we have this zip code map, which again, if you go under resources and then explore map, you'll gain access to all of our data. And here you can see all of the active markets across the US. It doesn't look like we we have some data in Macon as well. So one thing's quirk about this, you have to click into these blue dots for it to come up. Again, this is kind of a newer market for us, but we have some data here. I want to show you Atlanta so you can see just the overall presence in our first market, over 5,850 units, 399 in the pipeline, and in the last 30 days, over 32,000 searches. And then when you zoom in further, you can see all of the zip codes here. And as I click into any of these blue shaded regions, I will then get a chance to see how is this market performing in terms of the unit count, how many are in the pipeline, what that average weekly room price, and it breaks it into 3 categories. First category is the aggregate price of all the rooms. And then the second one here is for rooms that have a private bathroom, and then rooms that have a shared bathroom. And then we also get to see the occupancy rate, and then the days to first booking, and then how many days to 80% occupancy. So this is data that we would then use. I have a shared housing calculator based in Excel that I've put together with the help of another host, and we kind of plug in all the numbers here, and we're able to get your pro formas and get a clear understanding of what your NOI cap rate is going to be. And there's I'll send this to you after we meet, and then there's also instructions on how you can kind of do this on your own so you can run your own deals. But again, if you do have a property you'd like to analyze and kind of go through, let's set up some time. This link shows my current up-to-date availability. No commitment, as Tracy shared earlier. It's really just about seeing if it works. If it does, we're moving. If not, let's go on to the next one.
E, thank you so much. There is so much information. I'm glad we have it recorded so we can share this and people can reflect back. Thank you for everyone that's showed up today for this co-living Zoom. I think PadSplit definitely brought some people in, which is nice. And I appreciate your time today, E.
Absolutely. Any final questions for the group? I do see a couple hands up.
Jetty? No.
Liz?
I think they dropped him in here.
Yes, I'm here.
Oh, hi, Jetty. Did you have a question, hon?
Oh, I put in the chat already.
Okay, perfect. Liz?
My question was, where do you find the houses that are for sale on PadSplit? I already have a host account and I couldn't navigate to it.
Oh, perfect. Yeah. So resources tab, and then it's kind of hidden. You have to scroll down right here to where it says PadSplit Marketplace. And thank you so much for bringing this up. I totally missed that. Click find a PadSplit here, and then you can filter down by the city. And then when you click into any of these listings, again, a little quirk here, you kind of have to click under the text. If you click on the photos, it may not open. Startup problems, working on it. But you can see all the photos of the place. You can then see a brief description from the host, and then you can see which rooms are occupied. And then you can also see the historical performance of this property, kind of month-over-month, how it's been doing.
And do we have direct contact with the seller, or do we go through you guys?
Right here, yeah. Just fill out your information, put a message in there. Some listing agents will include their contact info in like the description here, so you can just contact them directly, but others prefer to just have you message them through the PadSplit platform.
Okay, awesome. Thank you.
No problem. Any other questions from the group?
Yeah.
David? Yeah. Oh, Heidi, there you go. Mm-hmm.
Do you mind
I was just
read the questions?
Yeah.
Okay. Can we just rent, if I use the PadSplit platform, can we just rent it to a certain group of tenants? Because I want to focus on rent it out to legal newcomers to the country, to US. And because I was newcomer myself, I want to share the experience with them and help them to settle down in a new country.
Sure.
Because I live in Canada for a long time. I'm dual citizen. Over there, we cannot do that. It's discrimination. It will get sued. So I'm just
Yeah.
wondering, and I'm new in Florida, just 1 year. So before I doing PadSplit, I just want to know this the laws, like where can I find this law?
Yeah, so we do require all of our members to either be a US resident or have a visa. Do accept international students, for example, as well. But they do need some form of documentation for us then to qualify on PadSplit. And when it comes to members who you will approve or decline, when somebody's interested in, so I'm right now signed into my own personal profile. I can see 5 out of the 6 rooms are currently occupied. And when a member is interested in booking, their inquiry would show up here like, hey, they're moving in, and you'll be able to see their member profile. So I just want to, share with you kind of an example on how this, would look like. So I can then click into that member's profile. Now, when it first comes in, when it comes in, you're going to see this information. You're going to see which room they're interested in, the move-in date. If they have a vehicle registered, you also see what their payment approval amount has been. Will not see if they have a service animal. So again, we do have to allow service animals, but we cannot disclose if they have one or not. You will only see that after you accept the move-in. Under the account section, you're going to see their full name. You're going to see their profession. You're going to see who their employer is, and you're going to see what their occupation is. You will not see the age. All right. So this is going to be screened out. It's going to say not visible until after approval. You will see application photo. So again, we cannot show gender, but we can show application photo. And then we have that PadMate profile test that I was telling you about earlier. And then we also have a rating system built in. So you can see the ratings of this individual and kind of what others have said about them. And then you also get to see their sort of financial history that we talked about, right? So I can see, how long he's been on PadSplit, what his on-time percentage payment has been. So we have all this information available here.
Okay, excellent. So as a host, we can pick and choose. We don't have it's not PadSplit pick for us, right?
So there's 2 options to that. So, you can have automated approvals. So when you go live, you're going to have your settings here where you can turn on booking approvals, right? So this will then give you 24 hours to accept or decline a booking request. Otherwise, automatically approved. Now, if this is off, anyone who passes the background, financial, and eviction report check will automatically be approved and be able to book your room.
I see. Okay, you answered my question. I just have one more question.
Sure.
Because I've been want to buy through the marketplace, so I contact some sellers, and then some of the property already on the marketplace for a while. I just wondering, is this streamlined with the PadSplit? Is PadSplit monitoring those property on the marketplace?
Well, it's up to the seller to, they have to notify us that somebody has bought it, right? So that we can also then transfer that property to the new owner and any new upcoming earnings that are going to be coming up. And the new that's something that they need to be in communication with us to facilitate that transfer.
Okay, because I'm just wondering, will PadSplit offer the service that helping the host to find deals? Because that's my big problem right now. I have a contractor ready, I have a fund ready, but I just cannot find the right deals. And those sellers, I contact them, I'm ready to buy. I mean, the price is right, I underwrite it. They don't want to give me the address, but I have some idea where they are. But after I talking to them, they say, okay, no problem, I'm going to send the information to you. And they just ghost me.
They never sent it. Edie,
So it's very
what city
difficult,
are
you
you
know?
looking-
Yeah.
Which city are you looking in Jacksonville?
No, I'm looking in Orlando.
Orlando?
Mhm.
Okay. I don't think we have a lot of inventory there for a turnkey, if I remember correctly.
Yeah.
We do have some here in Jacksonville. I have two local realtors who are selling a couple turnkey PadSplit properties. So if you're interested in that, once again, please send me an email. I'll be happy
Okay.
to introduce you to them. So I'll
Mhm.
go ahead and repost my information in the chat. Also,
Mhm.
we can see if that can be shared after the meeting. But yeah, please reach out to me. I'd be happy to introduce you to those
Sure.
two.
That would be great. Because those two property on the marketplace, that
Mhm.
was like back in June,
Okay.
and I
Yeah.
never heard from them again. And I've
Right
been
now in
testing.
Orlando, yeah, we only have one in Orlando, and it's
Right
kind
now
of
it's one. It's a
yeah.
7 bedroom, that one, 7 bedroom.
I think it's kind of overpriced for what it is, but
Yeah, that one a little bit overpriced, but the other one is kind of reasonable. Same thing. It's just like just
they go
goes
quick.
through.
Orlando's a high demand market for sure.
Mm-hmm.
We can connect JD after this meeting, and we can I
Sure.
can more contacts with you.
Because I'm ready to buy the turnkey one. I just cannot. I'm impatient. I don't know. I just cannot do it. Waiting
I
for
completely understand it.
I
Hey,
just
that's
want
not
cash
We're
too
all
flow.
long.
impatient.
I think we're all
I don't
there.
want to wait
Yeah.
for those construction things. It's just I cannot. I don't think I can handle it. Yeah.
Yeah, we'll make sure you take it care of, JD. Absolutely. We got some
Okay.
great.
Thank you so much. It's
No
very
problem.
helpful. Thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you for joining. David, what's going on, man?
Yeah, maybe first of all, E, thank you so much for joining us and sharing so much information. And Pam and Tracy, really appreciate you guys putting this together. This is
Absolutely.
fantastic.
Sure.
And E, I've attended a couple other sessions like with PadSplit, and you gave us so much more information and different information that I've seen before, which I really appreciate that.
I love to hear that. Thank you.
Yeah, I've got a couple questions. So would you say again, why are PadSplits not classified as rooming houses or boarding houses?
Yeah, so this is directly
there's
from our
two
chief
things.
legal officer. He actually used to be the chief legal officer for Glock. So he knows a thing or two about, dealing with some sensitive issues. But he stated that we are not classified a rooming house or a boarding home for one specific reason, and that rooming houses and boarding homes have to be available to the public for access. We are not available to the public because we have a fee that has to be paid, $19. And there's also the checks that we do, the background check, eviction report check, and the income verification as well. And we have successfully contested that, in Atlanta.
You said the checks are background, income, and
So yeah, for the background screening, there's a background screening to make sure they haven't had a felony in the last 7 years. And then there's an income verification to show that they're making 2 times the weekly rental rate. And then there's an eviction report check, so they can't have had more than 1 eviction in the last 7 years.
perfect.
Awesome. Good question. Thank you for that.
So does PadSplit handle or allow government paid voucher programs for payment, like Section 8 or other nonprofits will pay for like their specific population that they serve for people to have housing?
Yeah, not yet. We are in discussions with government officials regarding that, but as of right now, it's only it's only credit card or debit card payments.
Okay.
Yeah.
So not even ACH. So there's like a much higher fee for that.
The problem with ACH is that
2.5-3%.
fraud. Yeah, fraud is the concern there with ACH. And so that's why we only allow debit cards and credit cards. There is a 2.75% transaction fee that the member pays. So the pricing that they see includes that transaction fee. So if I'm someone who's looking for a room right now, and I see like this place here that's going for $310 a week, this price that's shown here includes that transaction fee as well. I do see in the chat there was also a question about like, can they filter for rooms that are instant book? Yes, they can. They can do the instant book filter and then show for that. What I will say is that you know, a lot of members will filter by the no move-in fee. So think of the move-in fee as like a cleaning fee on Airbnb. It's really a way for the host to be able to cover the cost of that clean if they wanted to collect upon that. But some members, you know, will search for places that don't have that move-in fee. And then if you do take it out, you get this kind of this listing card here with the tag on it.
All right, very cool.
Yeah. Awesome. Thanks, David. Heidi, what's going on?
Yeah, so parroting what David said, this was not my first PadSplit presentation, but definitely my best PadSplit presentation. Learned so much new stuff. So good job.
So much. I wish my
So
computer was on here.
So I get one question. I have lots of questions, but it's an easy one is eviction rates. Do you have those tracked, and kind of what can we expect in our pro formas for eviction costs?
Absolutely. When you're running your pro formas, I do recommend like a 3% concessions. Just putting that in there, it's kind of having a buffer built in. I'm going to share an internal report. So unfortunately, this is not something that you'll have access to, but you know, exclusively to this group, we'll go ahead and share this internal report so everybody can see real-time, transparent data on, you know, how it's performing kind of on a nationwide basis. And what I will say is that our eviction rate is actually going down. So it's loading right now. I'll give it a second. It's a lot of data to pull in. At least it was going down last time I checked this. So we'll see what it comes with now. Hopefully I'm not eating my words once this pulls up. But here's a couple of points I want to point out with eviction. Number one, because they're a lot more affordable, these eviction happens at a much lower rate. The national average for eviction rate right now is about 6%. We're a third of that at 2%, as you can see. And thankfully, it has continued to go down. Secondly, if it does get to a point where an eviction is number one, the PadSplit's host support team is here to help you with providing any kind of documentation, anything that you or your attorney may need to be able to file that. But also, the evictions for PadSplit rooms are a lot less costly and should be a lot less timely because it's, you know, typically one individual in just a room. It's not like you're trying to evict an entire family. So that tends to go quicker and at a lower cost.
Okay, fantastic. Do you have a tool for full underwriting for investors, like a 10-year pro forma, like a tool, something like that? Or can you help us with that? Things like how much expense and income increases each year would we project?
Yeah,
over
so
10?
part of the shared housing earning calculator, we can also kind of plug in, you know, what the expected rent growth will be as well. And then we can plug in the cash flow growth rate. This also does have tax deduction summary as well. So you can see kind of what your earnings will be based on the tax savings. And then the debt pay down summary as well. So taking all these into account, we can then actually see what our total cumulative ROI will be based on those 4 profit centers of any real estate investment, right? Cash flow, debt pay down, tax savings, and appreciation. Now this gives you kind of a 5-year plan, but I'm sure you can build upon this. And this is something that I'd be happy to share with you if we set up some time. So, you know, let's go into a meeting. We can walk through it together. Even though instructions are here, I have found that it's best to just walk through a potential deal maybe that you're looking at on how to utilize this, and then I'll send it to you, and then you're off to the races.
Fantastic. Thank you so much. I'll be in touch for sure.
Sounds good. Looking forward to connecting. Thank you. All right. So final opportunity here for some additional questions. And thank you all again for the feedback. As you can tell, I mean, I